On Authentic Ag, we have a conversation with one of the foremost authorities of what's going on in the nation's capital when it comes to gaining a rural perspective. Sara Wyant with Agri-Pulse. We'll also have features from the Kansas Soybean Commission and Kansas Department of Agriculture, as well as a weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association and Paragon Ag Advisors. This is Authentic Ag. Brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, kfb.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Brought to you in part by the Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future at kansascorn.com. In agricultural news from agview.net, the Department of Agriculture has opened enrollment for the Agriculture Risk Coverage and Price Loss Coverage programs. The Agriculture Risk Coverage, known as ARC, provides income support payments on historical base acres when actual crop revenue declines below a specific guarantee level. Price Loss Coverage, known as PLC, provides income support payments on historical base acres when the price for the covered commodity falls below the effective reference price. Ag Secretary Sonny Perdue, who calls the programs the bedrock of the farm safety net. For crop farmers, updated provisions in the 2018 Farm Bill allow them with an interest in the farm to enroll and elect coverage in a crop-by-crop, ARC County or PLC, or the ARC Individual, or the entire farm for the program year 2019. Now, for crop years 2021 through 2023, producers have an opportunity to make new elections. Farm owners cannot enroll in either program unless they have a share interest in the farm. Now, if you're interested, you must sign up for either program by March 15th of 2020. USDA is predicting farm income will rise in 2019 despite challenges impacting the farm economy. Recently, USDA reported inflation-adjusted U.S. net cash farm income is set to increase $5.8 billion, up a little over 5% to $112.6 billion. U.S. net farm income, a broader measure of the farm sector profitability, incorporates things like non-cash and changes in inventory, economic depreciation, and gross rental income, forecast to increase $2.5 billion, or just about 3% from 2018 to $88 billion in 2019. USDA says the forecast increase due to a combination of lower commodity expenses and production that subtract out the calculation of net income, as well as increases in government payments and farm-related income. The trade aid payments are expected to more than offset the forecast decline in cash receipts. Now, if that forecast holds up, USDA says net farm income would be about 2.3% below the 20 through 2018 average, but net cash farm income would be about 4% above the 2000 through 2018 average. And a survey by Farm Futures magazine reports farmers are planning to plant more corn and soybeans next year. The 2020 Planting Intention Survey found farmers intend to plant 94.1 million acres of corn next year, up 4.5% from the 90 million planted this year, as reported by USDA in last month's report. Farmers also reported to Farm Futures that their intention was to plant 83.6 million acres of soybeans next year. That's 9% more than this year, but 5.6 million below the 89.2 million that was planted back in 2018. Hard red winter wheat seeding expected to increase 1.3% to 23 million acres. The softs, folks up north, could increase as well. Meanwhile, farmers in the cotton growing states, including Kansas, planning to reduce cotton seeding by just about 9% to 12.7 million acres next spring. Sorghum could gain upwards of 9.3% to reach 5.8 million acres planted. But given the wet spring of this year and the number of acres that were not planted, some of the survey results could come as no surprise. We'll have more coming up.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if your cattle get out, you could be held liable for that? Call me. Let's have a discussion. 316-945-6733.
And joining us now, Sara Wyant, who is the editor of Agri-Pulse, actually the owner as well. Many folks know her, read her stuff, a longtime ag journalist, and so she was the keynoter here at the Farm Profit, or the Risk Profit Conference here at K-State. So Sara, you're kind of the go-to person now, and not only the ag media, but just looking from a broad picture of where we are in agriculture in D.C., and it's a mess. Farmers in countryside they say it's a mess.
Well, there are a lot of different factors, and of course, as you know, Ken, just the uncertainty, I think, has been driving people crazy. We have so many different irons in the fire on trade. For example, China is unresolved. We don't know how that's going to play out. We are making progress, it sounds like, with a trade deal with the Japanese and getting back into a bilateral agreement from what would have been that multilateral trans-Pacific partnership. And then, of course, we need to get USMCA, the agreement with Canada and Mexico, over the line so that we can be competitive on that front. And so hopefully USMCA and Japan will start moving. China is really a wild card right now in terms of how this might be resolved.
Well, as this is airing, Congress is now back in session after the August break. Do you think we'll get this USMCA done by the end of the year, or by we get to the kind of, that point where it really truly becomes a silly season of presidential politics?
Oh, I think it's already the silly season. All these different folks are out on the campaign trail, and there's a lot of back and forth going on. But I do feel pretty bullish about USMCA. There is some thought that perhaps Japan would be done before USMCA. But the good thing is that Ambassador Lighthizer is talking to the working group of House Democrats that has been appointed by Speaker Pelosi. They've made their concerns known. He has to come back and negotiate on whether or not he can address those concerns without opening the agreement in a way that might tear it apart altogether. So I think that's in process, and there's cool heads at that table right now. Let's hope it stays that way.
The big thing, though, is trade. Farmers here in the Great Plains just scratch their head when they see where we are back with the topsy-turviness of the markets. Folks really just want a market to sell their commodities.
Absolutely. People always tell me they want trade, not aid. And I think that's where so many farmers have been focused. At the same time, we see that they've been investing in markets like China for so very long, and now see it all wiped away. So it's frustrating. I feel the pain, and I certainly hope that these folks can keep talking with the Chinese and try to get a resolution so you can have a little bit more certainty. Certainly the supply-demand factors are also at play, and so it just makes it that much more interesting to try to predict.
The folks you talk to, are they concerned with China's continued involvement in South America and working with their infrastructure? Because that could be a game changer as well for U.S. producers.
I don't think there's any secret that the Chinese government has been very focused on being dominant as a world player. And so to the extent that they have invested in their Belt and Road Initiative and investing in Africa, investing really all around the globe, but they also have seen some weakness in their economy right now, primarily as a result of the tariffs, but also, they've had a lot of disruption. African swine fever has changed a lot of things. They've got these protests in Hong Kong. So there's a lot of uncertainty for them as well. And I think everybody is going to be keeping an eye on what they're doing militarily and with their economic investments around the world.
We're talking with Sara Wyant from Agri-Pulse. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source, agview.net. Our special guest this week, Sara Wyant, who is the editor and publisher of Agri-Pulse. We'll talk about how you can subscribe to that great publication in just a moment. A couple of things we want to talk about, as we talked about, everybody and their dog seemingly either A, wants to be president or wants to be a U.S. senator. It seems like now that a lot of Democrats are dropping off one by one, but one thing that seems to be discussed in the Democrats' line is this Green New Deal. Is that going to be maybe some sort of a platform in some form or fashion, or at least climate change?
Oh, absolutely. It already is. Bernie Sanders, the senator from Vermont, who's running for president again, unleashed his Green New Deal, and it has a $410 billion price tag on it in order to help farmers sequester carbon and to try to find new ways to deal with animal agriculture. And so it's a very wide, comprehensive plan to address these Green New Deal issues. I think you're going to see a lot more folks pay attention to rural agendas. Elizabeth Warren has a plan, Buttigieg has a plan, Amy Klobuchar has a plan. Several are focusing on rural because they think that President Trump is vulnerable. They think that farmers are losing their patience, and they want to reach out and attract rural votes.
All right. The other thing is a third of the Senate will be up. All the House will be up. Some big ones retiring, least of which is Senator Roberts, but also former Chairman Conaway. I mean, agriculture is going to need to find some new champions.
Absolutely, and certainly big shoes to fill for Senator Pat Roberts, who's been chairman of not only the House Ag Committee, but now the Senate Ag Committee, played a key role in farm policy for decades. So I'm anxious for you to tell me who's going to be the Republican nominee in Kansas, because I'm watching all the different names being floated. But I also see that there's going to be that change, as you mentioned, on the Ag Committees, because we're looking at the potential for a Southerner, the senator from Arkansas, to be the new chairman of the Senate Ag Committee. We're looking at perhaps some additional turnover there of a couple of members. And then you also see on the House Ag Committee, as you mentioned, Ranking Member Conaway has decided he's going to retire at the end of his term. So there'll be a little bit of a battle to see who will be the new Republican frontrunner in the Ag Committee. But increasingly, what we need to do is just find members who want to be on the House Ag Committee, who understand farm issues. And that's been tougher on the Democratic side. And so I think that the more we can do out here in states like Kansas to lift up folks as they're on the campaign trail and keep educating them about agriculture, the better.
Before I let you go, let's get that pitch on how folks are going to subscribe to your newsletter, and also you do a lot of things on social media. How can they be a part of Agri-Pulse?
So the best way is take us for a test drive. We have a free trial for almost a month, and that's just go to www.agri-pulse.com, agripulse.com, and sign up for a 4-week free trial. And then you can follow us on Facebook or on Twitter. We're Agri-Pulse, one word, on Twitter.
Well, thanks for coming to Kansas. Appreciate your insights.
Always a pleasure, Ken.
Sara Wyant, who is with Agri-Pulse, joining us. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
I'm Scott Thellman, and this is Juniper Hill Farms. Even though my parents weren't farmers, they bought this beautiful farm north of Lawrence in 1999. In 2010, I started growing vegetables on this land. Today, Juniper Hill Farms sells produce to wholesalers, grocers, and restaurants, and is focused on growing high-quality food that everyone can afford. Watch my story and the stories of other young Kansas food producers at kansaslivingmagazine.com/meetafarmer.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about employee safety and work comp coverage. On your farm, do you ask your friends to come help? Are they considered employees or neighbors helping neighbors? Did you know that you can be held responsible just as if it's a work comp accident? Give me a call. We can discuss. 316-945-6733.
The Kansas Soybean Commission invites Kansas Middle and High School Family and Consumer Sciences departments to participate in the Kansas Soybeans as a Food educational program. Its purpose is to acquaint students with soy food's nutritional qualities, uses, and taste, as well as the livestock industry's importance to soybean farmers. Schools may receive reimbursement for the cost of soybean products used in food preparation classes and soy products available in stores. Because the livestock industry consumes the vast majority of the soybean meal in Kansas, up to half of a reimbursement may be for meat and dairy products. Applications are due September 20 for the fall semester and February 21 for the spring. Teachers may apply for both semesters by the fall deadline, but each should be on a separate form. Following completion of an educational unit, submit the reimbursement form, along with receipts for the purchased products, by December 20 for the fall or May 8 for the spring. For more information, visit kansassoybeans.org/FACS on the web or call 877-KS-SOYBEAN. That's 877-577-6923. What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
A variety of natural disasters and other emergencies have affected communities in Kansas this year. During any disaster situation, the Emergency Management Program at the Kansas Department of Agriculture is focused on the potential impact to the state's agricultural industry and, in turn, the state's food supply and economic stability. September is Emergency Preparedness Month in Kansas, and KDA has joined the Kansas Division of Emergency Management and other emergency management response organizations in educational events and other reminders about the importance of disaster emergency preparedness, like Preparedness Day at the Kansas State Fair, September 9. Emergency management means preparation for disasters, as well as management throughout the event to mitigate impacts. Programs across KDA, from animal health to food safety to plant health, work to ensure the security and protection of the food and agriculture sector in Kansas, and that includes regular training programs and exercises of responses to various potential emergency events. The KDA Incident Management Team consists of veterinarians, food safety inspectors, laboratory personnel, administrative professionals, plant pathologists, and a wide variety of other titles spread across the agency. Team members have taken advanced all hazards incident management system training, and many have taken position-specific training. Kansans can all participate in these efforts to prepare our state for potential emergencies, whether in large ways, like being part of KAERC, our Volunteer Response Corps, or in smaller ways, like preparing our own homes, farms, or businesses for potential disasters. You can find great information about preparing for emergency situations at prep4agthreats.org, and you can find out more about emergency management at the Kansas Department of Agriculture at agriculture.ks.gov/emergency management.
Hello, I'm Dr. Frank Lyons from Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center here in Manhattan, Kansas. Daryl was one of our patients that we did about 7 months ago.
I dug trees by hand for years and years and years. In the process, I wore out my rotator cuff. But when I learned about this process, I thought if there's a way to get rid of this pain, then I want to do it. So we did it, and it worked. I'm not going to go out and dig trees with a shovel anymore, but I can do the things that I want to do now.
Well, it's been very gratifying to help people with their painful joints and other entities, and it's been especially gratifying to be able to help people who I know and have worked with and known for many years.
The Kansas Beef Council, in conjunction with the Kansas Livestock Association, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, Kansas State University, and Merck Animal Health, is bringing the National Stockmanship and Stewardship Tour to Kansas. Highlights of the September 20th through 21st event will include low-stress cattle handling demonstrations, beef quality assurance educational sessions, unique facility design options, and a meat cutting presentation. Stockmanship experts Kurt Pate and Ron Gill are among the speakers, as are K-State veterinarians Dan Thompson and AJ Tarpoff, who will lead the discussion on beef quality assurance. Ranchers will have an opportunity to see a chute-side demonstration and become BQA certified during this session. Rick Macon with the King Ranch Institute for Ranch Management will talk about the economic value of improved stockmanship. He also will address factors that prohibit change in stockmanship practices on the ranch. In addition, attendees will hear a market outlook and get an update on Cattle Trace and the National Bio and Agro Defense Facility. The event will take place at the Stanley Stout Center in Manhattan. Registration is $100 per person and includes all events and meals. To register or for more information, go to www.stockmanshipandstewardship.org.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply. Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Imagine turning soybean oil, used cooking oils, and waste animal fats into fuel so amazing it drives U.S. jobs and our economy forward. Learn more about biodiesel at americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Hey folks, Colette here with Paragon Ag. This week we're looking at how the recent trade events and weather are keeping the market in check. Grains have been mostly weak on the board as the market validates the USDA report on acres. Fair weather has kept the bears strong and trade sideways. Lack of a trade deal with China, as well as a continued increase on tariffs, have kept the markets from an upswing related to exports. However, increased efforts on trade via the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement continue, and we're keeping a lookout for the government ethanol package. We remain well off the highs early this summer, and that looks to be the trend for the foreseeable future until we can get into the fields and see what Mother Nature has left us with. Many say they could use a few more hot days for growing, and continuous rain has them worried about a wet harvest. The cattle markets are still adjusting to the loss of the Holcomb, Kansas plant. Markets are up from the initial crash on the loss, but seeing reduced cash prices. Hogs are remaining around the nearby contract lows in the last couple of weeks. A signed trade deal with China increasing our exports would be beneficial in these markets especially. Looking ahead, weather is to remain fair and the next round of tariffs come due mid-December. These tariffs, if enforced, would essentially take care of the remainder of Chinese goods affected in the trade war. So we're hoping early September talks help. As you're thinking about harvest, trying to decide if you've done enough or maybe you think you might have done too much on the marketing side of things, give us a call at 888-452-8751. I'm Colette at Paragon, and we'd love to help.
Well, thank you for joining us for Authentic Ag. If you have questions or comments, email me, kenrogers@gmail.com. We look forward to seeing you next time on Authentic Ag.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.
I'm Derek Sawyer, and I'm a fourth-generation Kansas farmer. I've known all my life I wanted to farm this land near McPherson, which was my grandfather's before me.
I'm Katie Sawyer, a journalist who never dreamed I'd live my life on the farm until I met Derek.
We've married our worlds to help educate consumers about the rural lifestyle and all that farmers do to provide safe and affordable food.
Watch our story and the stories of other young Kansas food producers at kansaslivingmagazine.com/meetafarmer.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Earlier in my life, I rode bucking horses and rodeos, and my shoulders took such a beating, and that was probably the reason for having several previous surgeries on both shoulders. About a year ago, I decided that I didn't want to have another surgery. And so I contacted Kansas Regenerative Medicine, took their treatment process. It was relatively pain-free. Now, after 8 months, my shoulders have healed to the point where I think I'm probably 90 to 95% of normal. It takes a couple of months to start to see results and feel real progress. That continued to increase gradually until now at approximately 8 months. And I'm extremely pleased. I've got full range of motion. I can lift weights, I can throw, I can do a lot of things that I couldn't do without a lot of pain previously. So I'm tickled to death with the results, and I'd recommend this process to anyone.